This is Karen and Tim Titus from Stampin' on the Back Porch, and we are doing our podcast about creativity, paper crafting, and life.
Last week, we did a tour of our craft house, not craft room, but our craft house. And of course, I put a link in there so you could see the actual visual tour, which might make sense, but we did also turn it into a podcast and kind of took you through the house and kind of explained what some of the things were. And it was actually really fun to do.
It was. I got to show off my kitchen.
So I'm going to briefly kind of tell a little bit about what that was about. And then the purpose of this is we were just blown away by the responses that we got from people. So today's going to be more about your reactions and what we can all learn together about this. So, so it's just a very emotional thing to do. I had been sharing that I've been asked for years to share a video of our craft room because it's a popular thing to do. And I just have never done it because I don't have a matchy all done. You know, we're kind of make-do people. We live in a craft house. But I finally decided, I think we live like a lot of people live. So I thought, and we do some interesting things for storage. So I thought, let's go ahead and do this.
Because not everybody is matchy.
And back in the day, so I said, this actually goes way back to when I started. When I started my paper crafting business back in 1996, we had 5 kids, a small house, no family room, no eat-in kitchen, no finished basement. We had a wet basement, so it couldn't be finished. And I really had no space. And since we were homeschooling, we had bookshelves in every cranny that you could find. So we actually put shelves across the kitchen window for my stamps, and then a little thing under something for my paper. And I remember a friend coming over and saying, "Oh, my husband would never let me do this." And I said, "Well, look around. Where else do you think I can find space?"
Look at my husband. He's so agreeable.
The funny thing about this was around that time, Stampin' Up! Did a thing of they wanted to see pictures of people's craft rooms for ideas. They were going to do an article. So I sent a picture of my space in, not to be entered into this, but just to make a statement. And I put that in the letter. I just want to make a statement that I'm running a successful business, and this is the space I have to work in. Is I just want to make the point that we don't need it all. It's just easy to think in life that we do. So anyway.
But if some of you are trying to convince your husband that you need this big space,
don't have them listen to this. No.
Don't show them.
And someone's comment was, "My goodness, you've got a lot of space to work in because you have a whole house." But I wanted to point out that we do now because our kids are grown and we moved to it's a small 2+ bedroom rambler, and we can do the house just the way we want it. We have way more space than we ever had in our small kitchen, living room, dining room.
We had 5 kids and one was in a wheelchair.
And so this is great. That's like another piece of furniture. So we have lots of space now. But my point is just make do with what you have, because we did not start with a lot of space. This has just been in our later years. So I'll put another link in here just in case you want to see the visual tour. Some of the things that we did, like we have spice racks attached behind the door on the wall for all the ink refills. I have what you would put saran wrap and cling wrap and stuff, one of those under the shelf things. I have that attached to the wall of my shelves, out in the open. That holds my ribbons. I have so we have a lot of kitchen storage. I have an under shelf storage, again, what you'd put in the kitchen. For all my paper scraps, I have one for each family of colors. And we had a little bookshelf. I turned it on its side to do all my 12x12 paper and other things like that.
Up and down.
Yeah. So it's just, so it stores up and down. It was kind of the right side, laid on its side, and I have other things on top. So it was just kind of a fun. And then I had different people. I had our stamps. I had my stamp pads for many years in, what do you call them, Tim? Those
CD or
tape.
Cassette
tape. You used to be able to pick up for a song at garage sales. I don't even know if they're very plentiful anymore. I had those that I kept my stamp pads. They worked great. And then Kathy Seal, one of my friends, and Downline Bolt came over with her young granddaughters, and they built me some things that they found out of it was packaging from IKEA that they were getting rid of. And she made these lovely stamp set for all my stamp sets, so I've got that for that. And then I had, we also for about 4 years now have what we call a group of Monday Mavens. And the first year we just had 4 women. And at the end of May, because I would do all these big church things, and so we would be cutting for 10 cards for about 70 people. When all this sheltering in place started, that went out the window. But at that time, at the end of May, I took the summer off. And so at the last Monday that we met, we all went down to My Burger to eat. We walked up there and we were just talking. And I said, we won't meet for the summer. And Ellie, one of the 4 women, said, well, Karen, you've always talked about wanting to get something like it from IKEA or something to build some shelves to store your stuff. Because I had just a hodgepodge of odds and ends of stuff all around in my room. And I said, yeah, but I wouldn't know how to put anything together. Oh, but I would. So she said she could do that. And then she said, but if we're going to do that, I think you really are going to want to, I'm going to call it whitewash the walls, because we had this dark wood paneling in this room.
Which I love.
Which you love mostly because he didn't want to do the work of this. So Tim's
This was one of the most expensive lunches I ever bought.
Yeah, because of what it led to, not the lunch. And then the funny thing was Judy was sitting there. So G. Lager goes, well, I'm happy to help paint, but I will only do the middle because I don't get down on my rear and I don't climb ladders. Ellie goes, I don't mind climbing ladders. So I said, okay, I'll scoot on the floor. The 3 of us did them, tandem across the whole room. And then Luann Blade came over and finished everything we hadn't finished. And Jennifer Hunstead and Ellie put together my furniture. So now we have this piece that holds a bunch of baskets. So anyway, what I love about that, as I say, my craft room is also built by the community, and community is our number one, I think, value, our core value in kind of doing this. We love our online community. We love our community of demonstrators. We love our community of customers, followers. We just thoroughly appreciate what we get to do. So even our craft house was a community event.
It was.
So anyway, I'm just going to enjoy reading some of these comments that just absolutely overwhelmed us. And it's in no particular order. I'm just going to read and just throw in. Lisa says, I love you are happy just where you are. Thanks for the reminder and thank you for sharing. Zwala said, you're an encouragement and content. I so needed this today. Thank you. Jackie said, love your idea of use what you have. Geraldine said, a fantastic tour. There are so many coordinated craft rooms that put my craft room to shame. It's lovely to see your well-loved setup. I feel much better about mine now. I thought, yeah, we are in this together. I love that.
I think what she's saying was, mine's better than yours, but it's not as good as some of them.
Virginia says, thank you for having a non-perfect room to craft in. And Vicki says, I love it. It's so real. I'm guessing it's the way a lot of stampers and crafters work in their homes. I would be honored to be a guest in your home. I can't begin to tell you what a blessing you and Tim are to me. Kara says, I love how you repurpose items to help you organize. Think of all the stamps you could buy because you weren't buying those. I love that. You made my day.
And in the Army, they call that field expediency, making do with what you got.
Debbie says, thank you for the behind-the-scenes look. I totally agree with using the space you have. We are creative people, so we should be able to create a usable workspace out of not a lot. I have about a 2-foot square space to work at, but I make it work. And then she adds, I've never seen so many acrylic blocks in my life in one place, though. And I had to laugh because I didn't even, I haven't sorted out my stuff because when we used to do all these people at the church, I needed multiple supplies. I have like scissors, so many scissors, so many acrylic blocks. I thought, I don't need those anymore. It's just pretty hilarious. Linda says, I love your message. We do get swept up in having it all mindset. I know I do. This gives me permission to live with what you have, and it's okay. You're very successful. It works for you. Thank you. Pam says, love your tour. You're the most down-to-earth lady. Just shows you don't need all the fancy stuff. Debbie says, I love your attitude. Make do with what you have. I don't have a craft room, but you make me feel a lot better about my workspace. You're my kind of people. And Teresa said, thanks for sharing. I so often feel like I need more, but making do is my bigger pleasure. Isn't that a great comment? I think there is a lot of pleasure in that for sure. Turning nothing into something is so satisfying. Beautiful home.
That is actually a definition of creativity, turning nothing into something.
And Bonnie says, too, you've made your home comfortable and the way you enjoy it. Glad to see how you've created your storage by repurposing items. Heather says, thanks for giving us a peek into your craft room and giving us organizing ideas. Never stop being yourselves. We love how real and genuine you are. Noreen says, our craft home is what a home should be, filled with love. She she lives in South Africa. She says, if I ever make it to America, I would love to come to your home. That'd be great. Janice said, be happy with what you have. What a great message. I'm going to try that thinking, put it more into practice. Kristen says, love the tour. Your message of contentedness and organizational creativity is fantastic. I like the homey feel of your space. And Gail said, as the old farmer once said, you is my kind of people. Love the tour. Okay.
You is.
And Esther from Northern Ireland said too, you're my kind of down-to-earth people after my own heart.
So we named a daughter after Esther.
And Cass says, thanks for the videos. You always make me smile, even though life is tough right now. Appreciate that. Diane says, so lovely, and you're so right. Use what you have. Wish I lived near. I would certainly drop by with some cakes and get some great tips from you. I just love that. You would be most welcome. Yes. We would love that. Marge says, Margot, thanks for the reminder to use what you have. It's almost a challenge to see what a person can do with what they have. And S, I don't know the rest of her name, says, love you guys. You're so down to earth. I'm less than 5 minutes into your video, but I'm seeing how I can repurpose things I already have for additional storage. Now, then I wanted to share a few stories that you guys shared about your space, because I think, we can relate to this too. Holly was saying, I remember when I first started, I had all my supplies in my bedroom closet in 2 of those Rubbermaid storage with drawers. I'd set up a tray on the floor and spread everything out. You can make it work and craft anywhere. And Corey says she lives in a 2-bedroom townhouse. The second bedroom is a craft room, and it's a challenge to convert it back to a sleeping environment whenever they have company. Yes, I think a lot of us can relate to that, or when the kids come home. There was a newer comment that I saw, and I forgot to print it out, that someone has said, I guess my daughter still likes to come home, so I just had to go to all those work and do it. And we thought it's just great. It's just so fun to do that. And this is just, I think, a couple of really precious stories. Joy said, I am 74 and finding it harder and harder to maneuver stairs. Last week, my daughter and son-in-law offered to move and organize my craft space to my dining room, which I no longer use. I am beyond thrilled at the thought. I know I will be a lot more productive having less, and it will be more convenient. And I wanted to say kudos to her daughter and son-in-law for even suggesting that and being willing to do it. And, it is about making our home work for us, and that is the reality of your life now. I just thought that is just really a heartwarming story. And then Luann, listen to this. Since I can't walk, my supplies have to be within reach, or with my pincer tool to reach. My helper comes in once a week and goes into my real craft room, gets what I need for the week, and brings it out to me. I sit in the middle of the sofa with my dies, stamps, and my shoeboxes on my left, a huge coffee table with all the stuff. I can reach it all sitting in the middle of the sofa. Now, dedication for that, and how wonderful that a helper can do that. That is really, really making do.
That is.
And then Anita says, Karen, we don't know each other, but I agree with what you said about using what you have. And I promise that by showing your space, you've given someone belief they can do this hobby and the gift of crafting they otherwise would not start or continue doing. It shouldn't be pride in how much or what we have, but rather our pride is in what we do with what we have. And are we lucky to be able to do something that blesses us and other people, that just kind of goes on giving? So, I hope that you enjoyed hearing some of those too. And so whatever your space is, it's all wonderful. I said, and it's something we can choose to upgrade, change, live with, do whatever. But I love that our greatest need is to be creative, and we can find ways, no matter what our space is, to be creative.
It kind of defines our life. It's wonderful.
And I do feel that we were all born to be creative, and this is just one area that a lot of us have in common, that we have chosen to do it through paper crafting. It could be through other things. Many of you may be listening that do it through other crafts, through writing, through other thoughtful acts. It can be anything. But I love that whatever situation we're in, whatever living situation in, we can love our life and figure out how to use our gifts. So thank you for spending this time with us. Next week, I am going to share tips that a lot of you have shared. We're going to get back to, we've been doing this decluttering together. And so I have collected a bunch of tips. So come join the conversation over in the Back Porch Stampers on Facebook, because I'm still collecting more tips on how you organize your space. So it's just going to be some tips for that. Thanks for spending this time. Have a great week.
Goodbye.